everybody. Welcome to Hop Metal Show. I'm with it's Hopper.
Very love.
String.
We decided we're going to do a special on Pantera. We talked about doing the Pantera thing, but then after Vinnie Paul passed on, we decided we definitely need to do one now. So, I guess first we're going to start off the show. We're going to do a Blacktooth Grin, the pre-mixed. Cheers, everybody. Get you a pull.
Get your pull.
Get your pull. You got to chug it, brother.
All right, well, if that's the way we're going to do it, we're going to do it.
Yeah, get you a pull. That's dime bag style. Woo. All right. So,
I got my pull.
That was it.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one last night. They do pretty.
got
They
your
do
pull.
the damage. Yeah, I got my pull. All right.
Seagram's matches up at Crown Royal.
I guess first thing we're gonna do is introduce albums. The order they come out. I guess pretty much the history of Pantera. I'm gonna let String take it off first a little bit.
Yeah, because a lot of people may have heard of the first original four. Cowboys from Hell was definitely not the very first one. Started off with Metal Magic, very glam sounding, but their dad being a record producer, he did all the producing for them, and so they whipped out all this pretty much on a budget, thanks to the Pops. But so that's the very first one, Metal Magic.
Now they feel.
No, these I don't know.
Terry Glazer.
I think Daryl Abbott, Terry Glaze, Vince Abbott, as it says here, and Rex Rocker. So they had glammy names as well. Second up is Projects in the Jungle. Still glammy, pretty much along the same lines as this one. And these are from Reborn Classics. I thought they were from U.S., but apparently when I did a little research, that it was Germany, I think, is where this company was from, and I don't know if it was legit, legal, or whatever, but they put a lot of this stuff on that was on vinyl only over to CD, and this one actually has a band called Shock Paris on the second half of it to fill it up. So it's actually 2-on-1 on this one, and this was the same way, it's 2-on-1. So the third album is I Am the Night, still along the glammy sound. And then I'm pretty sure, I should have did a little better research on this one. I'm pretty sure everybody's the same as far as
Yeah, I think so.
on the album there. Till we get to here, power metal. Definitely getting more. You can definitely tell that they're getting ready to go to the Cowboys from Hell sound. It's definitely a pull away from the glam. There's still a little bit of a glammy sound to it, but definitely getting the heavier, more, and obviously you can see that's kind of hard to see there, but they still got the big poofy hair, but definitely got the leather, the denim, and all that. Where this was big poofy hair, spandex, the
High screams.
Yeah, the really high screams. Where Phil, this is the first one with Phil. Awesome vocal sound on this one. It's very similar to Cowboys from Hell, anyway. And obviously after Cowboys from Hell, he kind of starts getting the
More aggressive.
The cigarettes and the drugs and all that. The alcohol got to the voice.
feel
But
that we know.
anyway, so we still have the high pitch vocals. There's still a little bit of glamminess to it, but it's a mix between the transition going from glam to Cowboys from Hell. It's the next step anyway. Definitely, this is a pretty good album. 10 songs on it, but definitely worth checking out. All of these, I did look, all of these you can find on YouTube, full albums. So if you've never heard any of these, do your YouTubing and check them out.
But not on Spotify. I looked
They're
this
not on
morning,
Spotify.
They're not on Spotify.
Okay, well, but you can check them out on YouTube, put them in your playlist, and have at it.
You can find everything on YouTube.
Yes, you can. Almost everything.
Not nudity.
All right, so
Actually, you can.
I'm going with
If it's in a
the
concert.
albums that everybody knows.
Art.
These
right.
are the ones everybody knows. We have Cowboys from Hell. I guess when the sound changed from the opening riff on, their whole career just slammed. I mean, Cowboys from Hell was a great introduction to the Pantera career.
Everybody that took note of this was like,
What'd you think? of
holy
that?
shit,
Oh,
we
I
need
like
to step our
Cowboys,
game
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
This shit got real quick.
Yeah, Metallica let steam up a little bit, and Pantera's just
Took it over.
Yeah, they completely dominated the scene.
And held the flagship for many years.
Of many years.
All right, then next we got, this is actually the first one I heard, Vulgar Display of Power. I mean, it's got Walk, New Level, Mouth of War. I mean, there's not a bad track on this one.
Not at all.
And then the number one album, Far Beyond Driven. Actually, it got the band cover. I don't have the outlawed cover.
Which I have that on vinyl, the Outlaw covered.
Yeah.
I should have brought it, but I didn't. I didn't think about it.
Well, you can't cover it all, I guess.
No.
But yeah, this subbitch is awesome too. I was telling String, I remember riding around in his Amigo many moons ago, listening
Mighty
to this
Amigo.
album. It was pretty fresh then. You remember listening to that in Amigo?
Mhm. That was a long time ago.
Yes.
And then I guess
25 years?
and the
Has
Great
it been
Southern
25 years?
Trendkill.
Probably.
I'm gonna let Love talk about the Great Southern Trendkill because he's the one that talks about this album a lot.
I love the Trendkill. The whole album.
I mean, him and Bob Loki are Trendkill. I mean, they're the ones that push that album hard. It's of all my friends.
It's probably my least favorite.
It's so aggressive, though.
It is.
It's
It is.
so aggressive. And,
And
the progressions
I
from...
started losing
Yeah, I think
on
a
this
lot
one.
of people did.
I really lost on this one, but then when we get
further on down
a
the
little
line.
bit further on to the next, I really picked back up. I really like the next one.
To me, I think this was the pinnacle of Pantera. The full aggression
Yeah.
to where the anger was. After that, the divide was coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
You can.
and you can kind of
can
hear it
kinda-
on
yeah.
this
I
that
agree.
that there was turmoil.
And what by the time now I know they did this one like Phil and Rex was in New
Yeah.
Orleans.
I'll get
The
to
rest were in Texas, but I want to say it was like that for the Trendkill also.
I don't know
but
if it was all like
It
that.
might not have been now, but War Nerve. Oh, yeah.
And then, actually, this made my countdown. A lot of people never talk about this, but this live album, shit, this thing is awesome.
Go ahead.
I mean, I would put it up there. I mean, it's just as good as Kiss Alive. I mean, everybody talks about how great that live album is. You need to check this out if you want to hear a good live album. I mean, Pantera brings it every time.
And I was looking on Metal Injection the other day. They had this. They didn't have them in any specific order, but the 16 most kick-ass live albums, this was one of them.
Yeah, that's,
So
I don't know
out of
how.
all everything from Back to Black, I think Black Sabbath made the list early. It was in the list. I don't, like I said, they weren't numbered, but they were in the list. So it was early on live albums up to current albums. So and like I said, this one was in there. So and it is pretty kick-ass.
And yeah, you need to, if you don't have it, never listen to it, check it out because it's pretty freaking awesome. And the last one is Reinventing Steel, and like Love said, and with, Rex and Phil they were kind of doing their own thing here, I think down in Louisiana, and Dimebag and Vinny were kind of doing their thing in Texas, and you can really hear the distance. But I guess what I forgot to touch on too in this collection, and it's really being known right now, Vinny was big time behind the scenes. Everybody talked about Dimebag, what he done, but Vinny was the man behind the scenes. I mean, he made the recording, the engineering, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Vinny was
I
a
didn't
big
realize
part of
he
that.
did as much as what he did, but
Yeah, that drum sound, I mean, that's all Vinny. Vinny was picky at that, and I mean, that was a big part of it.
and I read where he taped $50
Yeah, it
or
was
something
like-
to his drums to
Yeah,
get a
I
different
didn't
kind
know
of a
that.
sound. Which I didn't know that. But,
I mean, and
and
that's-
after I heard that or read that, I kind of went back to revisit a lot of this, so I was going back through all of this, and I was trying to see if I could pick that out.
Did you know that?
I couldn't catch it.
He
but
put it on his drum hits, so when he's kick
that
drum
extra-
hit, that's how you get that
Solid.
that double bass sound that he's got that he's known for. I mean, that's his thing. But yeah, we go through the studio collection, and they got a even Reinventing Steel. I mean, there's some good stuff on
Yesterday
that.
don't mean shit.
I like that. That's, to me, this is a solid album. There's a lot of stuff on that one that I really, really like. Like, I didn't care as much.
You like this more than that?
I do.
Damn.
Honestly, I do. And this, probably half of it, I really, really like.
Oh, them first.
The other half, it's
Them first
it's
two
not
you
bad.
can't touch,
This one, it's not even half. But I really got back into that because I know that they were starting to fall apart before this was even finished, I'm sure. There's a lot of good stuff on this. To me, I
Cast a
like.
Shadow.
I mean, Yesterday don't mean shit.
Goddamn Electric.
You gotta belong to it. Revolution, Electric. I mean, there's a lot. I really like this one.
But bottom line is, this is where it's at.
That, yeah, right here.
I mean, this right here.
That
when
was
you
wrong,
say
wrong
love-
one, right here.
Yeah. Well, I would say these, to argue
Right.
a string, I'd go with these two. But
But this made a lot of people say, "Oh shit, we got to step our shit up."
Yeah.
yeah,
They
it
brought
was a new
That-
a revolution was coming.
A revolution, yes. And
But-
throughout all of this, they flew the flag.
But even that stuff, I mean, even that stuff's awesome for its time. I mean,
For its time, yes.
Just got overlooked because there was so
Well,
much
I mean,
of it out there.
there was people didn't really. The only way you could get it was if you had connections with the band, if you watched them, if you Texas. I mean, anybody in Texas probably had all four of these.
Yeah.
But they were probably touring around Texas and maybe a few states around
Like you
Texas,
just
and that's
saying,
probably
with the music scene at that point in time. I mean, you
That's
didn't have
glam.
the internet. You
it.
didn't
Yeah,
have
that's all
where you
tape
could just
trade.
get
That's
Yeah.
that's where tape
Yep.
trading.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
But yeah, I guess we'll go on. I wrote a couple questions down here. Figured, so I'm kind of curious how these guys are about Pantera, and if y'all want to comment and say what answering these questions, more than happy to. Thumbs up and all that stuff. First question is, what was your introduction to Pantera? My introduction was, I used to go to Musicland all the time. Chris was the manager, probably the manager at the time, I'm not for sure. But there was this dude in there, he was an employee. I don't even know his name, but I know I was all the time in there looking for something new, and he was always telling me, man, the Black Album, that's sweet. You need to check out these guys called Pantera. And they had Vulgar Display of Power out. And he's like, you need to really get this. And I took it home, and especially when I got to walk, it was like, holy shit, this is freaking awesome. Where have I been? It's like, that was pretty much my introduction. It's like, God, this stuff is awesome. Metallica, they've done lost their spot. I mean, this band Pantera, they definitely know what they're doing.
For me, I can't remember his name. He lived up on 3rd Street. Mark
Hadley.
Yeah, he had Vulgar, and we were listening to it at his house. That's my first introduction to Pantera, probably. It was right around there, and then I guess with Bobby Loki too.
What'd you think?
Oh, it was aggressive. It was something new, because Metallica was on a hiatus, and so yeah, it was something to listen to that was new and aggressive. Something to get the aggression out.
Oh yeah. For me, I want to say, I can't quite remember if it was this one, but I think this was the one. It was you that said, "Hey, somebody's got this. They didn't care for it. They're trying to sell it." And I think I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I'll buy it." And I'm pretty sure it was this album because it doesn't have a sticker on it as this one has Town and Campus
Campus
Records.
Rock
So I'm
on.
pretty sure it was this one. It could have been this one because this one does not have a sticker on it either. But whichever one it was one of these two. And I remember Hopper's like, this dude's got this. This is a kick-ass album. You need to check it out. So I'm like, all right, whatever. And I'm like, sure, I'll buy it, whatever. I think it was like $5 or whatever. Somebody was trying to get rid of it, get it off their hands or whatever. So I bought it. And it was like,
From their own.
this
From
is
their
pretty
own.
fucking kick-ass. It's like, I'm all right. I like this. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it was this one because I didn't care as much for this one. But yes, that was because of you. And I'm sure after that, that's why I trucked on down to Town and Campus
That's
Records.
why mine's got a used sticker on it.
And
Some
yes.
fool got rid of that.
Yeah.
Town and Campus Records for people around the Harrisonburg area.
Yeah. Anybody that knows, we did a lot of
We
flipping
did. Yes.
Professionals.
all day long.
Yes.
All right, so we're moving on. Town and Campus Rocks, by the way.
Did
That's it.
rock. It's not around anymore.
You can buy beer.
But we can buy beer there. Anyway.
I guess what Pantera album is your favorite? I'm going back to Vulgar. First one I heard. Still, I listened to it today to make sure
I know where
that
mine's going.
it still is like the great album that I always thought it was, and I'm still giving it 2 thumbs up. Metal Horns, Vulgar, Walk. I mean, it's hard to beat.
For me, the Great Southern Trendkill. So much aggression. Riding around in Bobby's black Jeep. Just, yeah.
Oh,
doing
that was
things.
after CRV.
Yeah.
I remember
we,
the CRV.
we raged back then. But yeah. The Great Southern.
And I told you, man, Bobby and Love pushed that album hard. They probably sold 1,000 copies on their own, man.
And that was, see, that I'm just coming into the scene. I'm just getting into hanging out with this guy right here and hanging out the strip,
Yep.
cruising.
But
For me, this is where it's at. I mean, I'm sorry. This changed the sound for metal. People really, other bands really changed their game plans up because of this right here. When it hit, people were shit.
Oh,
we
yeah.
got to step our game up.
I just remember
And
Scotty Yines saying,
it's front to back. There is not a bad song on this album, and that's what it is for me.
Scotty Yine, I remember him saying, I guess it was, he was saying that Cowboys from Hell, that opening riff, he was like, wow, we're in trouble.
Yeah,
He said, here they come. It's like,
it's the new sound.
and it's hard to believe, even like, what floors me is you read about, Sebastian talks about how much fun they were to tour with, and it is hard to believe that Pantera opened for Skid Row at one point in time. I mean, that's when the freight train was rolling. I mean, that probably didn't last long.
No.
And Skid Row was obviously a headliner, and it probably didn't take long for them to be the opening act.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Pantera. Once they hit, it was on. All right, so what is it you like about Pantera? Probably with me, man, the songs, the riffs, the drums with the aggression, and the fact that, man, they carried the flag hard through the 90s. I mean, if it wouldn't be for Pantera, and anybody tell you this, they carried metal. I mean, they literally put heavy metal on their back.
The
and
metal
carried it
flag
through
had
metals.
Pantera on
Yeah.
it. That was during that time period. I mean, grunge was hitting, killing everything off.
Yep.
Hair metal was dead. It was dying quickly.
good.
And Pantera flag started flying hard.
But
But it flew strong.
If you listen to the live album I was telling String, Phil even says, man, the regular people say metal's dead. There's 30,000
It didn't
people
die.
there singing every single song.
Every night for him.
And he's like, look at the guy beside you and tell me metal's dead. I mean, it ain't.
never
They're
died.
just telling me it's dead. Pantera proved through the 90s that it's still alive and well.
Yep.
And then when they started to fall off, then you had Slipknot come in behind it. So,
Yeah.
'cause,
And by that point, the grunge scene was done. You had other.
It did what it needed to do.
It did what it did. It flushed out a lot of the
big hair screaming.
Not that I'm going to say seedy, but it was never seedy. But it flushed away a lot of metal. But when it picked back up,
Well, what Nirvana helped
fine
do
to
was
play,
help
yeah.
kill the power ballad, big hair.
it did.
Yeah.
It killed that whole genre pretty much altogether. But now it's back.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Well, everything comes back in a cycle.
Yeah,
it's all full circle.
Yeah,
I mean, do
very
y'all agree with the whole? I mean, Pantera, do y'all riffs? drumming,
riffs, aggression,
90s metal.
young, dumb,
I
full of
mean,
cum, and ready to go.
Oh
so.
yeah,
I mean, I know when we saw them, and every time we saw them, it was aggression, just pure aggression.
And any band, new age band, I say new age, which through the 2000s up, any band that was coming out, influence, right there.
Yeah, any of the hardcore bands, and they'll tell you. I mean, it's kind of like, but Pantera aside, I mean, they were huge fans of Metallica. I mean, that's where it all come from. I mean, it all come from that 80s
I'm not going to
thrash.
take anything away
But
from it.
they carried it.
But
Yeah.
that all goes all the way
Like
back
the
to
next-
Black Sabbath.
yeah.
So, I mean, we can just keep continuing.
Yeah.
on
It's
it
a
going.
cycle. It's a vicious cycle.
It's a
So,
vicious
yeah,
cycle
we
for
could
metal.
probably talk about this all day. But
Okay.
all right, so we'll
Keep
go
rolling.
on. All right, what do you say is Dimebag's best solo? Me, hands down. Cemetery Gates. Dimebag, man, that was a really shitty deal, man. It was. I mean, a man that, doing what he loves, and some idiot comes on stage and
It ruins it all.
Yeah, ruins it. But I mean, he'll never be forgotten. I mean, he'll always be one of the greatest. I mean, he's right up there with Randy Rhoads.
Yep.
I mean, he's jamming with Randy Rhoads. But I mean, I put him on the same level as I put Randy Rhoads. I mean, never mentioned in the same sentence.
Definitely a top guitar player. Definitely by far.
I mean, what would you say favorite solo?
I'm not gonna say a solo, but I'm just gonna say for Walk with 2 chords. Because the old saying was, if you do
Yeah.
3 chords, you could become a rock and roll star. Dimebag showed you can do it with 2 chords. And dun, 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 dun. I mean, that's all you need. So I'm gonna go with that, just for the 2 chord factor.
And scream, my gosh, he make guitar scream.
Mm-hmm.
He can make it scream like nobody else ever could. And me, right here, Domination.
Oh yeah, but I
Me
mean,
off that,
Zach's.
Primal Scream
And yeah, I mean, anything,
or Concrete Sledge.
yeah, anything on this. But Domination, it's, for me,
Yeah.
it's the bee's knees.
Well, actually, Domination. Domination that'll be my next one, which is, what song do you think showcases Vinnie Paul's best drum work?
Same for me.
Which Vinnie Paul we're guessing a heart attack. That's what it's kind of looking at. But I mean, it shocked the rock world as much as Dimebag did. I mean, the Abbott brothers going, man, what a loss that was. But Vinnie Paul don't get nearly the credit I don't think he deserves behind the scenes.
A lot
and
of people
everything.
was dime. But Vinny,
Oh, the
anybody
drums.
that listens to any drummer, period, knows who Vinnie Paul is.
Oh yeah, Portnoy even said he carried it. He carried it to the next level.
Yeah, like he's even said that they carried the flag.
Yeah.
The whole time.
And that's coming from
You got the
Portnoy.
hardest hitting drummer, period, hands down.
I mean, when
Vinnie
Portnoy's
Paul.
saying that, Portnoy's all. I mean, he's awesome in his own words, but for him to say that, there's got to be something to it.
Yeah.
But drum work, and I know Bob Loki and Mike May both said this on the Pantera album thing I'd done, but Domination, I saw that, man, the intro.
For me, and when you came up with those questions that you were kind of looking at doing, I'm like, I went back and revisited it just to refresh my memory, and Domination. It's farts thinks like a motherfucker.
Yeah, it does.
It does. But for me, I mean,
And
and even for me, this whole album just set it for everybody. I mean, and there's so much solid.
Oh, that's like, yeah.
It's
I mean, Cowboys from Hell. I mean, it's timeless.
If you do not like this album, I want you.
Yeah, the string is like pressing.
Yeah, if you do not like this album, I want you to comment why. That's all I got to say. Anyway,
but what do you think, drum wise?
I'll agree with Domination, man. That.
I mean, do you think Vinnie Paul's as big of a loss as Dimebag
Oh
was?
yeah, man. Well, the whole loss,
I mean, it sucks altogether.
Altogether, the whole situation.
I mean, it sucks how the whole breakdown and everything went down. I mean, the whole Pantera thing, just it all sucks. I mean, it all sucks. I mean, it was like we had this great band that just
Tore themselves apart.
Yeah, they just beat
But
themselves up.
you can look at a lot of bands
Yeah.
that do that.
Yeah,
I mean, they
apart.
eventually ripped themselves apart
Yeah.
because inner fightings,
Egos
and I mean, it happens with a lot of them. So,
but Vinnie Paul related. You listen to any of these albums, which you can't. I'm having a hard time getting them divided here. Anyway,
Get your pool is fucking
get
us
your
up.
all 5 of these, there is no difference in Vinnie Paul's
No.
balls playing balls. He's balls to the walls. There is no difference in any of these albums. He is full on, in your face, just
first
on
one
it.
to the last one.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is no difference in his drumming style. He brought it every song. And honestly, when I was looking at your list of the questions that we were gonna talk about, I really had a hard time because he doesn't have a bad drumming style.
No.
There is no bad song, period,
I mean, that's
for his drumming.
even the Lost in Vegas dudes took Suicide Note Part 2, which is, I mean, it's just wide open noise. And they took everything else except for the drums.
They
and
took
you
drum
listen
track.
to Vinnie Paul's. Have you heard that
Yeah,
yet?
I was gonna say something about that actually.
And it's like that right there, man. You can appreciate drum work just right there. Mm-hmm. I mean, you put all the instruments, that's stuff you don't really hear. But it's
the subtleties of it.
There was a track of Floods. There's a drum solo, just a drum track of Floods on YouTube also. I watched a little bit of that one. But it's hard hearing that.
I like the
just-
train sound he makes through Drag the Water
with
or the Flood.
Yeah, just the drum tracks alone. I mean, because you want to hear it all together. But when you listen to it, I mean, it's there. I mean, Vinny.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, and if you don't, I mean, I don't know what everybody thinks, but everybody talks about Dimebag this, Dimebag that. Vinny is just as important, in my book, is just as important as Dimebag.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I said that a while ago, but can't preach that enough. I mean, you listen to all the rock stars talk about it. Man rolls with a motorcade, because he just is like that much. No, nothing but high things talked about Vinny, just like he was Dimebag. But, all right, so we guess next one we'll go to. I thought about what is favorite Pantera moment, and I've watched the Dime Visions, and there's a lot of cool, funny stuff. But man, one thing that sticks out to me that I always thought was cool was Dimebag tossing the cups.
Yep.
They'd bring out that tray of beer, and he tossed. Did you ever see him toss cups of beer up in the upper deck? I mean, the cup would end up in the guy's handstand.
They had it.
Yeah.
They had to sit down to a science.
And I know there's a lot of shit about Dimebag that you could say, but, that was the first thing come to mind was tossing the cups.
There's plenty.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of...
There's a lot of... Actually, I don't know if it's on this as much as on 3.
Maybe it's 3. I
think it's on 3 a lot.
I mean, they just keep running loops
And
of
it might be
and
on
it's
this
like-
one too. But yeah, I think it was
It's
on,
like-
actually it was on 3, which I couldn't find that box that I had that one in. But anyway.
I mean, he would literally come out with a tray of beer, and you would have a guy up on the upper deck.
Solo cup.
And he's just throws it and lands in the dude's hand. I mean, no beer spilled for nothing.
Well, it wasn't full cups. It was
Yeah,
probably
but-
only that much in it.
but still.
But a solo cup getting tossed like halfway across the stadium, that's pretty impressive.
I mean, I thought when I saw Metallica, Love probably remembers this. We saw Metallica Black Album. James Hetfield brought out a whole tray of beer to the people on the floor, and I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw Dimebag pitching beers, and it completely overrode Hetfield.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's like, and that's one of my coolest memories. I know it might be lame, but that's where I'm at.
My favorite, I guess, at Nissan with the throwing of the grass.
Oh yeah,
That's my favorite memory with Pantera.
yeah, that was pretty crazy too.
And it didn't stop until Phil came out and said, "Give some respect to the Godfather," and then Ozzy came out and the grass stopped.
Yeah, Field laid the order down in it. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I did too.
And they did stop. But man, they tore the shit out of that
Yes, we
lawn.
did.
I think I had seats, so I wasn't in on partaking.
That
of the lawn
was the
with
first time we saw him. That was the time that we were talking about that I got.
it. Was he bald head? Mm-hmm. All right, you guys.
Phil was drunk, and him and Zach were having a competition of who could get the drunkest during the while being backstage. And then
Yeah, but I still
Phil
think
come
they
out was
kicked ass.
wasted.
Well, but I remember the second time I seen him. It honestly, it sounded like it didn't sound like shit, but it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Because Phil just was.
I mean, the band was there.
inebriated. But the band was
Backup band
but,
was there.
But Phil was just inebriated, so it was not as enjoyable. You got to have the vocal part
Yeah.
to make up the rest of it.
But and that brings us on next thing. This, I'm not sure. I think it was Mike May. I texted him. He never replied back. Of course, I just sent a little bit ago. I went to
might be
this
him
show, and
I wish I would have went to that one.
it was incredible. White Zombie, Pantera. I remember it rained like hell between White Zombie and Pantera. Some idiot climbed up in the rafters, climbing around. I thought they was gonna cancel the show, but it was the first time I saw Pantera and White Zombie. I mean, they were good, and it was cool to see them because they had the theatrics and stuff. But Rob Zombie still running around too much. I'm winded. I can't sing. But man, all I remember about Pantera was the only stage thing they had was these pentagrams flying around marijuana leaves. Other than that, they come out and ripped your head off. I mean, it was like we left that show, and I'm pretty sure it was Mike Bay. Like, holy shit, these guys, man, they're the real deal.
No frills, just straight out in your face.
Yeah, there was no. I mean, White Zombie had all the theatrics, which was cool, but Pantera, man, they just ripped your head off. And I remember, I was thinking today. I remember after the show, some dude got his ass whipped. I don't know what he did, but man, some guy was kicking the shit out of him down by the bathroom. But and I guess that Pantera aggression caused the ass whipping for some guy. But I saw them in, this is '96, and I saw it '97 at Ozfest,
In 2000?
which that was Killer Bill. Is that the show you went to?
The Power Man
Yeah.
5000.
Which Love, he got to see the great Pantera.
And that's where
yeah,
I didn't get to talk about my experience, my best experience. Ozfest, Two Lid, and I were hanging around the second
Hey,
stage.
you remember this?
Hopper,
No.
it was your fault. Was it his fault?
Yeah.
Somebody had to go to the bathroom. I'm pointing at you.
Okay.
And Two Lid and I had stuck around the second stage. Phil come out, and they had these like little postcards that was like promotional postcards, and I got it autographed by Phil, who was hanging out back behind the second stage to watch whoever was playing at that point in time. I don't remember even who it was. But Phil came out, and I just threw my postcard because that was the quickest thing I could get to, and he just chicken scratched his autograph on it, and Tule got his autographed, and they come back and we're like, look, what we got? Why you all gone? He still talks about that, how it was all your fault.
Well, you know,
Somebody had
when
to go to
nature
the
calls-
bathroom.
When nature calls, you got to go.
But
I mean.
that was my moment. But a second moment that I had, I'm going to backtrack it a little bit, which I just remembered. It's hard to see, but right there on my DVD, I got Vinnie Paul to autograph that. And we saw them open up for, I want to say it was Dragon Force. And I got that autographed, and I got a picture with Vinny, and I was the last person to actually, before they hauled him off back to the tour bus. But then this was after Dimebag was
Killed.
taken away from us. So he had a bodyguard, and the bodyguard was trying to take him away, and I asked real quick if I could get a picture, and I'm assuming I got this autographed in. But that was a shining moment again for me too, as well. But just, I mean, Vinny was the shit.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. But another one was, Love. You said, what 2 shows did you go to? Did you go to this one too? This would be 2000.
Does that one have the hate breed?
Might have been.
Hate breed was on the second stage. The second, because they hadn't been on the main stage yet. I'd like to think Queen of Stone Age. Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that.
You must have
I
not
was
been
there
to
that one.
I didn't
This
go to
was
that one.
awful Pantera show. Well, it
that
wasn't
was a
awful
bad
feel.
one.
Bad feel show.
Yeah,
And
bad
that
feel
was
show.
that was my 3 shows. The first show, White Zombie kicked total ass. Second show was pretty freaking awesome. That's the one. I guess all 3 of us were at that show. We all 3 saw a kick-ass show, and then 2000 show, which Phil was just so drunk that it wasn't even good. I mean, I don't know, what shows did you?
The only show I ever saw Pantera would have been the that Ozfest.
Did you see Down then? When you saw? But see, there was an Ozfest I didn't go to. Did you go to the one the Priest was at? Because that's the only one I didn't go to.
I went to one where it was System of a Down, Adrema.
Yeah, they weren't there that year. I remember that. They had
That was the year I
System of a
went,
Down.
and Hate Breed was on the second stage, so I went to Hate and watched Hate Breed instead of whoever was on stage, and then I hung out when Adrema was on, and talked to the guys from Hate Breed, and then the one with when it was Pantera, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, that was 97.
Those are the 2 that I went. That was the 2 Ozfests that I went to.
So, what about you? 97 and 2000?
Yeah, those were the only 2 times I saw them, both at Ozfest. Definitely, then 97 was more memorable. 2000, Phil, like I said, what we both said.
Yeah, he was trashed.
Just trashed. It just he took everything away because he was so, and I couldn't get into it.
And that was the beginning of the downfall.
Yeah, and it was. Yeah.
Or it was in the midst of the downfall.
All right, so
Heroin and pain.
Yep.
what Pantera meant to you is Pantera, man, they were freaking awesome. I said earlier, carried everybody through the 90s. Carried metal hard. The riffs, Vinny's drum work, Phil's vocals. They were the perfect band. Rex's bass grooves. I would put Pantera, say, man, they had it all. They had everything that you wanted in a band. And it was 4 people, and they did everything well. And that's what made me love Pantera.
I have to agree.
And at that time period, young and aggression, they were going hand to hand. It was perfect time period for us growing up during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And for me, I was kind of a late bloomer to a lot of I didn't have a lot of exposure. I didn't have the outlets where I lived, I should say. I didn't have MTV, so I had whatever I could get and whoever I hung around with. If they had, and I didn't have but 1 or 2 at the time, early on, people to listen to harder rock, heavy metal stuff. And it wasn't until I got hanging around Hopper that I really started getting into a lot of heavier bands and more. At that time, it was kind of early on. It was more hair metal stuff, and then it got more into the more heavier stuff. And for me, it was that was probably a turning point. Was Pantera. It was like I really liked hair metal, and that was kind of what the little bit of exposure I did have. That was what I had, was the hair metal style, and from, like I said, what I thought was Vulgar. From then on, it was like, and even now, my music style, I've gotten into more heavier, more aggressive, more unpleasant style music, I guess you could say. I still enjoy listening to hair metal. And there's stuff I really like, but Pantera, I mean, they stuck, and that's what brings it. That, and still to today, I mean, you can't go wrong with Pantera.
Nah. And probably the stuff you're listening to. I mean, Pantera, if I'm the guy that introduced it, I mean, you surpassed me in the heaviness, because you listen to a lot heavier stuff than I do. But I mean, I've always said, everybody talks about the vocals, growly vocals. Phil was about it. I mean, that was, for me, that's as growly as I wanted my vocals.
And at the time, that was probably about the most that I wanted then. But I kept, as time went on, I've had to go more and heavier, and I don't like a lot of the really aggressive style, heavy, dark, kind of stuff. But I don't mind as much now on the more aggressive vocal styles that a lot of newer bands have versus back in the mid-90s, what was out at that time.
You want to wrap it up?
I'll say I've gotten old because it's banjos and mandolins.
Speaking of banjos and mandolins,
but the shit's still
let's
there.
Let's not forget this one.
And I still listen to it and I still love it. I mean, it's
and if
it's aggressive.
Anybody out there
Love
that
it.
hasn't heard this is way off from the Pantera style, but yet when you listen to it, you still get that Pantera style sound a little bit, but with more of a little country twang, I guess, because David Allan Coe is the vocals on this one. But you got the
That
brothers,
ain't country.
but you got the brothers Abbott kicking ass, taking names, and drinking beer, and whatever else they drink. Blacktooth probably are a plenty on that one.
And we got Dime Vision 2 just come out.
And Dime Vision 2 just
get a little
I think last
sample.
year. And honestly, there's a song. The last track on this is called Whiskey Road. There's a DVD plus a CD. It's only 5 songs on there. Whiskey Road. It's a track that and honestly, for a total different sound, it holds a strong second to what I originally said for my favorite solo, Dimebag solo. The last song, the Whiskey Road. It's very Leonard Skinner-ish in style, but I almost said that was my favorite. But I'm kind of like what I'm listening to now, and honestly, I could go through all 5 of the studio albums, the last major studio albums, and I can listen to it one day and tell you one thing, and the next day I can tell you something totally different. But on this one, I really enjoyed that solo, and it was really, really, really good.
Well, I think
It
Love's
looks like we're going to do a
probably
second.
picking up the best way to wrap this up.
One last pull.
Oh man,
One last pull to Abbott Brothers.
we got them all in there.
I know, like Vinny's the big Jaeger man. He's a huge Jaeger man.
Like
but
Jaeger.
I think
Jaeger's good.
I think he'd be happy with this. But
I think this would.
thanks, folks. Everybody enjoy. Get you a pull.
Get your pull.
Peace.